beautiful and plain, and young and old.
Hello and welcome to Love Has Many Faces. I'm your host, Marilyn Milano. And today we are bringing back a wonderful regular guest of sorts. She's been on the program many times. We're welcoming back Brenda Maeder. If you've listened to the show for a while, you might remember Brenda and her special needs dog, Jamie. They've done a lot of things together and gone out in the world and helped try to spread the knowledge around and let people know about differently abled dogs. And today, we're going to be talking a little bit about why people pick the dogs they do and how to pick a dog that will fit with your lifestyle and your family. So very excited to talk about that. Just a quick reminder to everyone, we are not only on the air from 9 to 9:30 every Tuesday morning, that's Pacific time, but we are now podcast. So if you just type in Love Has Many Faces podcast in your search bar, it should bring it up, or look for them on any place that you generally get your podcasts. And this way you can share with others too. So we'll take a very short pause and be right back with our guest, Brenda Maeder. I'm Marilyn Milano, your host of Love Has Many Faces here on Alternative Talk 1150.
Hi, I'm Coach Debbie from Story U Talk Radio, and I want to encourage you to write your book. Weekly, I offer topics about style and storytelling. I take your questions on our live show every Thursday at 4 o'clock, or you can subscribe to Story U, that's capital U, on any of your favorite platforms.
This is Martha Norwalk. Every Sunday morning, beginning at 9 a.m., thanks in part to NewProSupplements.com, we cover the world of animals. This week, January 18th, it's Behavior Training and Healing Sunday with me, and talk with your human or animal loved ones on this side or the other, and personal readings with Natasha Venter. Hope you can join us. Plan to call in with your questions for either one of us, or for a personal reading with Natasha. Martha Norwalk's Animal World, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to noon, right here on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
Conversation you won't find on the rest of the dial. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back to Love Has Many Faces. I'm your host, Marilyn Milano, and we are welcoming back Brenda Maeder, returning guest. Welcome, Brenda. So glad you could join us.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here again. This particular week is perfect. Jamie just turned 9 years with me last week, last Thursday to be exact. A special boy, and I'm glad he's made 8 years. No, 9 years with me, and he's soon going to be 10.
Oh, that's so great. I know you've done a lot with him. And I mean, just for the sake of people who might not have listened to our conversations before, do you want to do a quick recap on Jamie before we jump into today's topic?
Sure. Jamie is a pure white Cocker Spaniel, and Cocker Spaniels do not come in white. He is a product of bad breeding practices, and he was born blind and deaf. He does not have any eyes at all, but he's an amazing boy with a nose that knows everything, where he is. He can map out things. He knows where I am. He comes in and out of the yard. He sleeps on the bed. He walks on the edge of the bed and doesn't fall off. He's just amazing. Such a sweet, sweet boy.
I love that. And I know you've been out, you've talked to different groups and gone out in the world, so to speak, to let people know that differently abled dogs can live good lives and to help educate people, and also to educate people about avoiding the bad breeding practices that can create dogs that don't necessarily, they're not able to see or to hear. And yet these precious creatures deserve love too, now that they are here.
Yes, that certainly is true. They do deserve that. And it was a learning experience for me. I had a dog that was sight impaired and a dog that was deaf, but I didn't have one that was both. And the night that I brought him home, I said to my son, adult son, I said, yes, he's blind and deaf. And I thought he was albino, which he isn't. That's not the word they use for it. Sometimes they call them, oh, the word escapes me now. I'm sorry. But my son said to him, oh, the perfect trifecta, blind, deaf, and albino. And I really didn't have a clue what I was in for. I just saw him and said, I'm up to this. And it was a learning experience for me. And to let him go and be the best he could be.
Well, I just love that. And I love how well he has done with you and that he has a wonderful life with you and that he is enjoying life and living life, not just surviving and struggling with his challenges, but really living a good life and enjoying it.
Amy has no idea he's blind to death. It's his life. This is his
No,
life and he's happy in it.
I think it's great. It's like I talk a little bit about one of my dogs who was a retired show dog, and she had not been fully debarked, but they had reduced her bark, and but she has no idea that when she's barking, she's not just like super loud and fierce. She just barks with abandon, and she's hilarious. But like you said, dogs often don't know what their shortcomings or what they're missing or their challenges are. They just live in the moment and know that they're loved and so well taken care of. So I just love that. Now today, I know that we're going to talk a bit about why people choose the dogs they do and some of the things that should go into that. And I know you and I've had discussions before. It's so important to fit a dog to the right kind of home, because not doing that is what leads to so many dogs being returned to the breeder, the shelter, or just worse, being dumped. And so one of the things that you mentioned is that sometimes people get dogs for the wrong reasons. Like when 101 Dalmatians came out, everybody was into Dalmatians. And when Lady and the Tramp came out, everybody was into Cockers. And now French Bulldogs are the rage. So do you want to talk about that a little bit? And just sometimes what drives people when it's maybe not the best reasoning to be using?
Yes, when Marley and Me came out, people wanted those, you know, dogs. And then a dog's purpose, people wanted those American Bulldogs. American Bulldogs are just a different word for a pit bull. Well, pit bulls were family dogs at one time. They were totally different, but breeders can change them over the years. Uh, Cocker Spaniels were known to be nippy, and they bred that out of them pretty much. Uh,
Yes.
like we used to watch a show, it was very old, and people don't like to talk about it anymore, called Little Rascals, and the dog's name was Petey, and it was a little white dog with a sort of like a target on his eye, like the target symbol was his eye.
Right.
And he was a pit bull, but he was friendly as the greatest dog, and he was in the show with all these children, and people wanted them, and they had them, and they were different than they are now.
Yes. And I know they were called nanny dogs in some cases because you could leave the kids alone. But as you said, we have to be aware as people, sometimes a dog is overbred. And then the traits change and not for the better. Or as you said, I do remember when I was a little kid, my parents having friends with that had Cocker Spaniel, and the dog was snappy. Well, I've had Cocker Spaniels since 1985, and I've never had a mean one. I mean, I've had one or two that are more dominant in the house, like they want to guard their food or whatever. But basically, Cocker Spaniels are loving, sweet, and friendly dogs. And the two I have now are absolute angels. I mean, they're so mushy and squishy, and they love everybody. And I couldn't ask for better dogs. And I remember taking one of mine in for a surgical procedure a couple of years ago, and everyone fell in love with her. And they said, "Oh, she's one of the nicest cockers we've ever seen." And I'm like, "But wait a minute, all the cockers I've known have been nice." So again, we have conceptions, we have misconceptions, um, we have reasons that maybe that aren't they're not accurate anymore. So you mentioned several different things in terms of when you're choosing a dog. You mentioned lifestyle, again, active or maybe more laid back. And then are you a big or small dog person? And allergies, and then finances. All of those things.
Living space is another one. You don't buy a Great Dane when you live in a little tiny house, one of those mini houses. You don't do that. It's not fair to dogs, it's not fair to you. COVID, a lot of people adopted dogs and then they went back to work and then they didn't want them because the dog didn't want to be home alone. So that has to be taken into consideration. If you want the dog to be successful in being a part of your home and your household, you have to pick one that's right for you.
Yes. Yes. And I think also, I mean, like a working dog or an active dog, like Irish setters are one, or more popular now, border collies and Australian shepherds, super lovely dogs, but very smart, very active. And in many cases, they need to have a job to do, or they will start hurting you or the cat or the kids, or I mean, they need to be stimulated and to have work that they can do that utilizes those aspects that make them really a great fit for some and maybe not so great a fit for others.
Well, I think every dog has a possibility of being a great dog. Every breed, including pit bulls, which, most people have negative thoughts about. And some places they won't let you move into it if you have one. But I don't think there's any bad dog. I just think there's bad situations, or they are not working for you, or you don't know how to train it,
That's
or,
right.
or something happened in the dog's past that created it to be like it is.
That's
Uh,
right. That's
so,
right.
but I think you can find out which dog works for you. There's quizzes on the internet that is easy to take. American Kennel Club has one. There's one called selecteddogbreed.com. IMS has one from Australia, Dogs Australia. And then I saw Chewy has one and Petco has one. So to do this speak with you tonight, I took a couple of the quizzes just to see what would happen. And amazingly, they came up with the dog that I have now, one of the dogs that I have now, and a couple others that I would have considered. So I think it's a good thing. At least start there and look at the dogs and then look at them, read up about them and learn about their health issues and stuff like that.
Yes. And then you mentioned that in one of the notes that we exchanged, you mentioned that there could be maybe 3, 4, 5 different fits for you, but you have always loved spaniels. And so it's a natural thing to lean toward those. I know you said that one of the quizzes came up with the Pekingese, one of them came up with the French Bulldog, one of them came up with Cavalier King Charles. And so we take into account what fits and what makes sense, but also our own personal preferences. And there's nothing wrong with having those.
No, there isn't. There isn't. And you need to take in, once again, your living space and your financial outlook.
Oh,
Although you have enough money to have one of these dogs, like a French bulldog that could cost a lot of money and medical bills because of their breeding practices. Their shoulders and their legs are um, far apart. And my son has 3 of them, and he's had to have knee surgery done on them, and they've oftentimes have hurt their leg. It's difficult and it's expensive. $3,000, $3,500.
right.
Like a
And
banana. So you need to have that.
well, and that brings up the question too of pet insurance. A lot of people will think, well, I'm not going to get that because it's expensive. Well, I know from experience, you might pay on pet insurance for 5 or 6 years and never need it. But when you do need it, especially as your dog ages, it can be huge. I had a $10,000 surgery for one of my dogs. Now, my insurance covered about half of that. And I had never done this before, but I did a GoFundMe for her and I was able to get extra to help. She was a healthy, happy dog. She needed to have a little part of her jaw removed so a cancer wouldn't return. They got everything and she's doing great. But these things come up. And I know that from talking to a couple of the different rescue folks around here, they said a lot of people are turning their dogs back in, and not even because they don't want them or they went back to work, but because the vet costs have gotten so ridiculous, they can't pay them. So the other thing is if you do adopt a dog that has a condition, those pre-existing conditions often are not covered by insurance. So you're treading kind of a fine line, but it's important to know. It's important to know if you have the finances to take care of what might come up and so forth. So, and I know, yeah, I see French bulldogs everywhere. I mean, I think they're cute, but I'm kind of like you. I'm a spaniel person, and I'm just really drawn to the spaniels. I grew up with golden retrievers, couldn't have one when I got out of college because the apartments didn't want any dogs bigger than 25 pounds. My folks are the ones that had them, so I didn't have one that I had to give up or anything. But I then went to smaller dogs, found a cocker on the street, never could find the owner, and the rest is history. And so, but there's something about the spaniels that I just love, and yet they have their issues too. So, it's just so important to think of your lifestyle, think of your finances, what appeals to you. Are there allergies in the family? Maybe if you're not sure, take one of the quizzes and find out a little bit more about, what might work.
Yes, yes, that's true. Having insurance is a good thing. Costco is now offering for their executive members uh, pet insurance. I haven't looked into it. I just saw the ad, so I'm not promoting it. I'm just saying that's another thing out there for it. As you said, I particularly like spaniels. I love all of them, and in my house, I have two Cavalier King Charles Spaniels, two English Toy Spaniels, and two Cocker Spaniels.
Sounds
Now,
like me.
yes, they're all my personal dogs, and but a couple of them are aged, and I just recently, last spring, took in a Cocker Spaniel that I heard about that the family was giving it to the shelter because she was not well. She had pancreatitis, and they didn't want to pay her bills.
Ah,
So her name is Gracie. She had a different name, but I named her Gracie because by the grace of God, she found me and I took her. And I've managed to take off 8 pounds off her, which lessened the pancreatitis. And she just turned 11.
wow. Well, I'm glad that you took her. Thank goodness for good people like yourself that have a heart for these dogs. I mean, I can understand how someone who professes to love animals will then go, well, my dog's old. I'm going to just take it to the shelter. And it's like, well, what do you think is going to happen to your old sick dog at the shelter? Are you in La La Land? I mean, it's probably not going to make it out of there. And yet there are so many kind and good and caring people that are willing to step up. And I mean, education is part of this process. And unfortunately, as much as we talk about it and try to help, education is a part of this. We have to let people know what to expect. And, if someone really isn't up for the task, they would be better off having a stuffed dog that they can pop on top of their bed and just deal with that. So, in fact, I know somebody who did that. They couldn't deal with the real dog anymore. They got a stuffed one, and that was probably their best choice.
They do make animated stuffed dogs. They give them oftentimes to seniors in dementia units, and they
Yes,
think they have dogs, which is kind of cute.
yes. There's a company called Tombot. I don't know if their dogs are out there yet, but they are specially designed for seniors and folks that can't have a regular dog, but they're designed to respond to voice and touch and so forth. So they're not just sitting there. I mean, they do respond, and it gives the person some satisfaction. And I think that that's great. There's many things that are coming along that will help people who maybe can't care for the real deal, but still get some enjoyment out of having something that they can love and cuddle and care for. So now, do you have any particular stories or examples of situations where picking the right dog or the wrong dog proved to be a pivotal issue for that person?
Well, I think that, I'll tell you my granddaughter. My granddaughter got married and she lived with, well, not really lived with me. She lived across the street from me growing up, and she would come to my house. And my grandchildren are all very savvy with dogs because they didn't have a choice. I mean, they were here. I babysat for them. And so she gets married and she goes to a rescue and she adopts a pit bull. Well, she named him Meatloaf, and he's really cute and he's a really nice boy. Here's the sad thing that Meatloaf was neutered when he was 8 weeks old because he is a pit bull, and because the pit bull rescue is so afraid of, them being rejected that they neuter him very early, which is sad because they need some of those hormones to mature a little bit. And my granddaughter has this nice garden apartment and outside of Boston. And as soon as they saw the pit bull, she got the notice to get out.
Oh,
Now, here he wasn't even 3 months old. And
oh.
so they had to move out of this apartment complex because they didn't want the pit bull.
So did they find a place that would take them?
They did. Now they've been married 2.5 years, and Meatloaf is a great little dog. There's nothing, wrong with him. He's not aggressive. Matter of fact, he's a scaredy cat. He's more like a cat.
Oh,
So, yeah, so here you have a breed that someone has an idea that is bad, so they don't want him, and that happens. That
yeah,
happens. And
yeah.
Gracie, they had her since she was a puppy, and they just gave her away. Um, there was just my rescue just got a puppy, and a darling little puppy that somehow was adopted right before Christmas. And then they decided he had to go back to work, so he didn't want the dog
Oh,
anymore.
oh. No, I would change jobs. Oh, once I have an animal, they are part of my family. I remember when I was adopting one after Betsy died back in 2022. And that's when I brought Fire and Calla home. And those are the two I have now. But I remember when I was looking at Calla, who was out of state. And the reason that the woman was even talking to me is that she knew someone that I knew. And the woman told this person, she said, Marilyn would go without food before she would let anything, slide with her dogs. And I mean, those of us who love our animals so much, we are responsible for them. We're going to take care of them. And I just don't get the kind of person that could do that. I mean, I don't even think I could be friends with them, to tell you the truth. I mean, I just would have a really bad feeling.
Well, there are people that I'm not friends with over their animals and the way they treat them. That's true, and what they feed them, and I'm not, it doesn't make me happy, so
Oh,
they're not in my life. You can tell people, but it doesn't mean they'll do it. I
oh,
mean, definitely have different ideas about them.
I know. I know. And I remember growing up, I mean, I was, around in the late 50s and 60s and stuff, and pets were viewed a little bit differently. I mean, you kept them outside sometimes, I mean, it was just a different time. And I remember after our first dog passed away at 13, and then we got a second dog that lived to be 16. And I remember my mom saying with a lot of regret, she wished she'd understood when we had the first dog. He did fine and he had a decent life. But she said, I just kind of believe that we left him outside, chained up near his doghouse. That's what people were doing, or
That,
a lot of people were doing. And I mean, my dogs, it's the opposite, man. I don't even go out in the backyard with them without being on a leash because number one, it's not fenced, but number two, we have coyotes. So I'm what they call a helicopter parent. And I think more and more people are understanding that we just need to be, they're our babies. We love them. We take care of them. We do what we have to do for them. And that's as it should be. So do you have any other last minute thoughts for people who may be considering a dog? I mean, we talked about things to consider like the allergies and the finances and stuff, and about the quizzes online. Just wondering, we've got a minute or two left. What else might you tell folks who are considering maybe their first dog, or maybe it's been a hiatus since they've had a pet?
I I would tell them to take the quiz, and then I would tell them that if they feel they're a experienced person with an animal, that they should look for rescue because rescue has so many animals right now. They're
Yes.
um, they're sending them from the south up north, and there's kill shelters down there, and they're bringing them from Puerto Rico, and California has kill shelters. So many animals deserve to be cared for, that to promote buying it from a breeder that you don't know if they're responsible or respectable or care for their animals is just so wrong. And when they go to a rescue, they should ask, how is this dog? What's the personality? What does it like to eat? Just keep asking questions. It's not wrong. As foster parent, when I place a dog to somebody, I call them the next day, I call them the next week, and I call them the next month to make sure everything's all right.
I
And
think
my phone's always there for them to ask me a question.
That's great, and that's the way it should be. And before we have to sign off, just a reminder of your Facebook page and where people can find you if they have questions or just want to learn more about your little guy, Jamie.
Jamie's Journey. It's on Facebook and it usually has a little picture of Jamie, the cute little white Cocker Spaniel with no eyes. And just search it out and you can join and hear about his little antics.
Okay, and no website, right? Just the Facebook page?
Well, there was a website, but I haven't really updated it. So maybe I will by next time I come on.
Okay, we'll talk more about that. But anyway, Brenda, thank you so much for joining us. It's really great to open up conversations about how we can help animals and help make better placements and give them a better life and find them a better home. And just love what you're doing with Jamie. Wish you all the best. And we will talk again down the road, not too far off.
Okay, take care. Bye.
All right, take care. This is Marilyn Milano here on Love Has Many Faces. You've been listening to Brenda Maeder. We're going to take a very short pause and come right back. Hi, this is Marilyn Milano, your host of Love Has Many Faces. The music that you're hearing during this show every week is exclusively original music from my own CDs. If you're enjoying it and would like to order a copy of one of my 2 CDs for yourself or as a gift, just go to marilynmilano.net and you can order directly from the website. I give a portion of every sale back to animal rescue because that's part of the whole cause. Thank you for listening and thanks for your support.
An alternative to everything else on your radio dial. Alternative Talk 1150.
Welcome back. It's Marilyn Milano, your host of Love Has Many Faces here on Alternative Talk 1150. Hope you were able to catch the whole conversation with Brenda Maeder. She's got a wonderful dog, special needs dog that's just been living his best life. You can learn about him and about what Brenda's doing on their Facebook page called Jamie's Journey. And again, just a reminder that we are not only on the air on Alternative Talk 1150, but we are podcasts now. So type in Love Has Many Faces podcast anywhere in your search bar, or just go to where you find your podcasts and you will find us. I hope everyone has a wonderful week and that your new year is starting off on a good note. And we will catch you next time. Marilyn Milano here on Alternative Talk 1150 with Love Has Many Faces.